Hey guys, I'm going to do an interview with a person that has a law school, and his name is. Oh, you can introduce yourself.
Right. Joseph Lorry with the Merency Met School of Common Law.
Okay. And so, what we're going to talk about today is, and this is based on the video that I watched of his, and he was talking about jury. And why is it pretty much like stacked up against somebody that's trying to, have like a fair trial?
Well, the reason why the jury system is not what it used to be anyway is that they're chosen, uh, ill-educated people on their power as a juror, for one. And they've diminished the meaning of jury since the Civil War to where jurors are pretty much not much to them, is the way to put it. There's just not much to them. They used to have the power, and they still do by law, and by the common law, and by the Constitution, by the true meaning of the word jury in the Constitution in 1787. When that word showed up in the document, what it meant then. And a jury back then was allowed to even know the accused. They were even allowed to have been a witness to the event that he's been charged with. In other words, they could have been in the bar at the same time when he got in a fight and killed a guy, and now he's on trial. A juror could be actually kin, technically, to the ninth degree. So it has to be a fairly decent distance of kinship. But these are the kind of things that the jurors do not know that their power is, especially even in the Merriam-Webster's dictionary and all the dictionaries before, and any expositions that attempted to define jury, always stated they had the power to judge the fact and the law. If they don't like the law, they get to let the guy go just because they don't like the law.
Okay. But it's important, though, for them to at least understand the law, which the common people don't really know the law. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's probably done purposely. So many things in their lives put in to distract them to not be interested in the law per se. And that everything's fine. The police are making good care of you. They got plenty of security set up for you. And you're just getting taken care of. And we got all kinds of programs. You can, if things go bad, you can show up for and sign up for. So the people's relaxed. They don't have the quality of self achievement anymore.
Yeah. Well, and people are so willing now, the common people are so willing to give their rights away for a sense of security that they won't recognize when somebody else's rights have been compromised. So then that's why they're so easily ready to convict, because they themselves are ready to give up their rights. Would you say that?
I think also, yes, you're right, and I think it has a lot to do with just envy and jealousy.
Yeah.
They have to admit that they ain't got the guts to do what you're doing. You're standing up on your right, and they're not.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They've got driver's license, and you don't. And they've got all these other permissions from the agencies out there, and you don't. So in one sense, that they have this jealousy, and they don't want to admit that you're the one that's right and it's them that's wrong.
Wow.
And so they're going to move accordingly.
So then just imagine this, like if somebody's like really strong about their own rights in a courtroom, let's say, then the jury seeing that, they're going to be like, there's going to be like a sense of like jealousy, because they're going to be like, look at that person standing for their rights. And so then it's going to be like, they're going to be like, no, we're the ones in control. Do you think so? Kind of?
pretty close to that. I've been in this thing close to 40 years now,
Yeah.
and think, put my finger on it, but it's somewhere close to that. If the juries act the way they do, I have seen them talk all their stuff outside the jury room.
Yeah.
Especially on the street, if they believe that police officers lie, and they believe that the government's got all kinds of things wrong with it, and they're railroading, they're lying on the stand,
Yeah.
and all this. But you put them on the jury, and all of a sudden they're for the government.
It's kind of weird, huh? And it's like they feel like they're doing their duty, like, like to put someone in jail, kind of. And they're like,
Yeah.
they give themselves a pat on the back, and they feel like, okay, justice is served, or whatever. But I think that sometimes a lot of it has to do with personality, too. Like, let's say if it's a free-spirited person, that might trigger jury in general. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's pretty much down that line. I think that, they just, and sometimes I think they feel a little intimidated.
Yeah.
Mainly by these things are said in court. Like a judge will make the statement, you must find that he is innocent until found guilty. Now, nobody wants that instruction. You're telling me that I have to consider him innocent until found guilty? Well, first of all, I'm going to resent being told I have to do something.
Oh, wow. So it could be like
so
a lot
I'll
of...
decide whether he's innocent or guilty without you telling me that.
So it could also be a lot...
But it's that little power deal that the judges have on you.
Yeah.
And then when they send you back to the jury room, their words is, if you found that he went against this statute, you must come back with a guilty verdict. They go back there thinking they don't know their power to nullify that law. They go back there and think, well, you heard the judge. So, you're guilty because the judge told them before they went back there you're guilty.
Dang.
If you saw that he was in the statute, that's what you come back with.
Wow. So, like, let's just say, what if the judge is biased? Do you think that would really affect somebody having a fair trial?
Most of them are biased. I've not ran into too many that
are not.
I've found a few judges that appear to be really good.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm not finding very many of them.
Well, and also my question is, which makes it, so pretty much like, anybody that even just steps foot into a courtroom, it's probably like, I don't even know what the percentage is, but the fact, like, so much is stacked up against them. Let's say, like, if someone has only one day to defend themselves, but let's say, a prosecutor has, like, 6 days or whatever, would that be fair?
Well, it's not fair, but if you don't know to make your objection or your request give you more time, then this is where they sucker punch you into going on further into the case, when at a time, if you found out that they've had more time or more abilities to overcome you needed a little bit more time, you need to bring that up.
Wow. Yeah. And then also, now, I don't know what this whole, like, I used to study about the law of the land, the law of the sea, and, people say that the courtroom is pretty much like a different jurisdiction than the law of the land. Is that information correct, or is that just false information out there?
It's the way you want to look at things, to how far you want to run from that doctrine to a point of maybe they have something going there. The problem that we're having is that every state, when they had a constitution, they created that court. The court that these people are acting in today was created by your forefathers, and they had it as the law of the land, and there is no power for the law of the seas to ever come in there.
Wow.
Now, how did it get in there? Well, it's not really there in a true legal form, but it could be practiced by doctrine.
Oh.
And no one knows to challenge it or to set it straight that this is not the law of the land, this is the law of the seas that you're doing, and that this court was not created for the law of the sea. First of all, we're not out at sea. And so the point is that we have the law of the land here, and that's the only law that you have the right to enforce here is the law of the land, not the law of the sea.
Wow. But then also, like, people that go into the courtroom, they're trained to use the terminology in the dictionary of the law of the sea, which basically is saying that the jurisdiction is over them and that they're in that domain. Do you think, is that true or not, is that not?
No, it's not true.
Oh, okay.
They may very well be pushing a few of these laws of the sea in their minds and what they think they're doing. But if you know what you're talking about, you straighten them up about this. That right there is not the law of the land. And
Wow.
if you think there's a law of the sea here that you're operating on, you don't have the authority to do that. Neither one of us is from the sea. We didn't. No incident has happened from the sea.
Yeah.
And we're here on the land.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
you've got wordplay that you're using words that may be connected to the terms that are used in the law of the sea.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make this place the law of the sea.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. And it's just about being able to like recognize whenever the law of the sea is being practiced to say to point out the fraud when it's happening, right?
Yeah, in other words, if you get knowledgeable and ahead of time,
Yeah.
you'll be a lot better off than them in the courtrooms bullying you around with their lies. In most cases, lies. That'd be the best way to put it.
Wow.
But you don't know better, so you don't know to object. You don't know to make a statement, so you lose. I mean, that's how it
Dang.
works with.
What do you think about lawyers? Like, you know how like lawyers ask people questions and they kind of put them in this like pigeonholed to where they don't even allow the person that's defending themselves to thoroughly be able to express themselves. Because just imagine if someone was able, if they were defending themselves, to fully speak and just give their recollection of something that they're defending, but they make it impossible because they cut them off and they tell them exactly how they need to answer the question. So as far as lawyers, do you think that lawyers obey the law of the land?
There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that since you don't know what to do about it, then it comes to a problem. What you do is when he says no further questions, you get to cross-examine yourself.
Oh. Okay.
And so you make it clear that you want to make these statements now under false examination.
Wow.
So when you answered the question a while ago, just yes, but you wanted to say something else, what was it that you wanted to say?
Exactly. And that makes all the difference in the world.
You have to know that your job for you is to know this stuff. You can't go in there halfway knowing something and expect to come out ahead. Now, on occasions, you luck up and win anyway.
Yeah.
But overall, you just need to know, especially about due process.
Okay, due process. That's going to be another subject. I'm going to really delve into the due process.
Okay.
Well, that will be on another video. But the last thing I want to talk about real quick is man, I lost my train of thought. Oh, okay. So, people that represent people, let's say. What's the difference between somebody that represents somebody or a lawyer that represents somebody? Because I was under the impression, and I could be wrong, that basically lawyers have a contract with the court, and it's not, their obligation is not to defend the person that they're supposed to be representing, or that they maybe do, but it's like at the last. Is that correct, or am I wrong on that?
Well, what lawyers are practicing, it's in one sense, they've agreed somewhere down the line. You wouldn't necessarily call it a contract, but they are definitely in a system where they don't want to rock the boat that would bother their careers in the future.
Oh, I see.
They agree and don't want to upset a judge, and they're not going to stand up to a judge and tell him that he don't know what he's talking about.
Wow.
Whereas an individual will be willing to do that. Because there's no career involved for, say, like me. I don't have a career in being a lawyer, so do I care whether they downgrade my way of doing things and make a mess of it all they want?
Wow.
There's no reason for me to worry about it.
You know, that's so interesting because that's kind of like when someone goes to a doctor, the doctor has to go by protocol of his career. So basically, if someone goes in there and they say they have cancer, they have to tell them this is the only way, this is the only thing you can do to heal it, which is through the way they say. But let's just say if someone steps out of the box and it says, well, I don't know though. I mean, so I think that pretty much, yeah, if someone's career is on the line, if they actually have to stand up against a judge, if it's really going to save their client's case, they're not going to do it. Is that's fair to say?
Yeah, the lawyers, first of all, don't know much about the Constitution anyway. They have 6 weeks, period, in their 3 years of law.
Wait,
one of the
6
books
weeks?
I read back in 1922 was the book. Of course, I was born in 1922, but the book was written in 22.
Wow.
This guy was expounding on lawyers then and the law school, and he said then that on the bar exam, there was only 2 questions about the Constitution on the entire exam, and neither one of them had anything to do with understanding the Constitution. One of them was why the amendment did this, and when was it ratified.
Wow. That's scary.
Like, oh, you're a lawyer now, aren't you?
Oh, that's so scary.
But they don't teach the Constitution in school, and what they claim they're teaching is nothing but a bunch of court decisions. So they're not even teaching the Constitution. They're teaching what the court says the Constitution means.
Oh my goodness. So wow, like even like the lawyers don't even know the Constitution, which makes a world of a difference. So that means like pretty much, I mean, I don't even know what the percentage is of something being stacked against somebody that was trying to defend themselves. It's pretty much it's almost like a no-win situation pretty much. I mean, if the lawyers literally don't know the Constitution. I mean, my question is, do you think judges know the Constitution?
No, not the way that it should be understood.
Yeah.
There are things about that Constitution that they only believe because the court in the later decisions have said, and they base the Constitution on modern thinking. And
so okay, so now that our system is like completely just broken as far as the judges, the lawyers, they don't even know the Constitution, and when they did the bar exam, it only had like a couple of questions, and even if that, where's the hope? Like, what can somebody, how can somebody be able to have their rights be honored?
The answer to that is education.
Education.
Getting educated right.
Yeah.
And absolutely getting like these videos out, teaching people what the real law said at one time, why is it saying something different now, etc. See, you got to help people think like, yeah, what's that deal about? Why was it this way, but after the war it was this way?
Okay.
See, because you'll find that Civil War was that dividing point, that we haven't lived free since the Civil War. So that ought to tell you what that war was about. They can claim it's about slavery all they want. But if freedom has left because of it, then it was about stealing your freedom. That's what that war was about.
I mean, I do know that the name U.S., it actually stands for corporation. I mean, I don't know if there's a difference between America and the U.S.
Well, there would be a slight technicality there, no doubt. But overall, when we view the Constitution, we want to view it as it meant when it said and used the word United States.
Yeah.
Now, when we get involved, we know that it is a corporation. There's no way to get out of that anyway. You don't need a Supreme Court ruling to come along and say it was a corporation. You don't need a statute to come and say that we're incorporating something, because it was already incorporated in the sense that any type of body of people has a created entity. It's an incorporation. It's not a real person, but it's a thing of fact. 20 people get together and start a chicken chasing contest.
Yeah.
And whatever it is, once you establish this thing, it's an artificial thing, but everybody in the club is agreeing it exists.
I know. That's the thing that makes it tough, because then it's pretty much like a history of brainwashing for the longest time. But also that starts with our textbooks that we have in our public school education, system, to where it's pretty much propaganda, pretty much, where it kind of puts people under that mind of the corporation, and then pretty much like they just go along with it because that's what they've been taught. But it's not necessarily the law. I mean, it's not necessarily the truth. But it's really important to be able to have like the original textbooks versus from a theorist perspective, because those are two different things, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing that's hard because, like, you know, people, I mean, I don't even remember any time in school that we actually talked about the Constitution. Like, even like when we were in government, we didn't even talk about the Constitution in the government class. I don't remember. Now, maybe I could be wrong, but, you know, I just don't remember it.
Yeah. Well, I know they had very little. I can remember some, but it was very little.
It was very
And
little.
I was at an older age where they probably still did a lot more back then anyway, but it was still very little, and they didn't try to explain, especially something to give you something to think about your rights and standing up for them. They pretty much made it look like the police and the judges, everything is 100% in line with that Constitution. So whatever, trust them, they're going to do you right. You know, that was the lessons I was taught.
Okay, perfect. Joseph, I really appreciate this so much, and I'm going to find like the name of your law school, and I'm gonna put it in the video, and then
Okay.
We'll continue on, especially with that subject of due process.
Okay.
Thank you so much. You have a beautiful rest of the day.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.